Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Mrs. Satna, and today we have here with us Dr. Adil Malia, who is a candidate for the post of trustee for the esteemed Bombay Parsee Panchayat elections. The idea of making this video is to ask him some relevant questions so that we can familiarize ourselves with him and know him better.
Thank you very much.
So Adil, my first question is, please do tell us something about your background, your family, your academics and your work experience.
So, number one, thank you, Roshan, for investing your time in wanting to know a little more about me, because that's something that everyone wants to know. So I thought that, and then also thank you very much for finding time to come over to my office to do this interview. Background. So currently, Roshan, I am the CEO of a business management company called The Firm. Firm actually stands for Firdosh, Robin and Malia. I'm the Malia part of the firm. So the firm is a business management company. I come from a very, very humble background. I was born and brought up in Balaram Street. Father used to work for a garment company. Mother was a housewife. Of course, we had very humble startings. We never really had that great kind of a thing, but there was always love and affection at home, and that's how I grew up. I had to work very, very hard, of course, and so therefore, to build myself up, totally a self-made person, I had to study very hard and do whatever I had to do on my own. So today I'm very, very proud to be a very self-made man to the position that I have reached. And that's a moment of pride that I always like and have in my heart, which I wish I could express a little better. As far as my qualifications go, I have a bachelor's degree in commerce, I have a bachelor's degree in law, I have a master's degree in human resources management from the prestigious Tata Institute of Social Sciences, where I got the second rank. After some years, I went and attended the advanced management program at the Wharton Business School, the Coca-Cola Wharton Advanced Management Program. And then I also have a causa honoris doctorate in philosophy bestowed on me. So that's where the academic part goes on. Having come and not being born with a kind of a silver spoon in my mouth, I had to work very hard. So I started working from the time I was 18 years old. And I have collectively now, if you look at it, around 44 years of work experience collectively, if I were to put all of that together, having worked in Indian national and multinational companies. I began with Godrej, I worked with GE, I worked with Marks and Spencers, I worked with Coca-Cola for around 12 years. Then I worked as the group president for the SR group of companies. I was the group president there. And for the last 7 years now, I am the CEO of this business management. So that's my academic, my family background. My father is from Nargol and my mother is from Saronda. That's the kind of background we come from. So, well, that was the only route that we had to take to succeed. So we had to work hard and study a lot and, have an ambition backed by a plan.
Going forward, what is the vision that you're working with, Adil?
So we collectively as a team, and that we are, approaching these entire elections as a part of a team which is committed to the community. We have two very, very clear visions. Number one, BPP has actually eroded itself. And when people talk about BPP, do they talk about with that element of confidence, with that element of trust that they should really be talking about? So to that extent, the experiences of people have actually corroded the trust. So therefore, the most critical thing that I would really want to work is, how do we go around building this trust all over again? And the second most important thing that I would like to work about is, how do we rebuild the credibility? We seem to have somewhere down the line lost the credibility. I'm talking to so many people at different BAG levels, all the people who have in some way or the other experienced the Panchayat, and somewhere they say that the credibility of the Panchayat is lost. I would seriously like to invest my time and work towards rebuilding that credibility.
Continuing from our last video, my next question to you would be, Adil, what prompted you to stand up for the trusteeship elections?
So let me tell you, when I look back, what really prompted me to consider standing up for these elections. For the longest period of time, I have been rejecting the idea that I should stand up, not stand up, evaluating, etc., etc. But I must tell you that the first reason I believe that indeed it is now the time for change. Why do I believe it is time for change? Because number one, I believe that the brand BPP has really eroded, and all right, the glory and all with which people used to look upon the BPP brand, I seriously believe that that brand has now very much eroded and something needs to be done. And secondly, the delivery system for which the trust is itself created. How do we service apra garib manusana mate? What are we doing? How do we deliver some of the offerings? That delivery system also seems to have collapsed. So I genuinely believe that if we do not really do some serious action, we would have lost too much of time. Why do we need to do this? If you recall, Albert Einstein had said that insanity is about continuing to do the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result every time. It doesn't happen. So if we continue to exercise our options to choose our leaders exactly how we have done in the past, surely we are going to get the same results. And therefore, number one, we had to have the right kind of people coming up. Also the fact that I was extremely tired being a spectator and taking a backseat to this entire drama being played out. Therefore, I believe that some one of us, and I was also taking a backseat like most of you people would have taken. I was also wanting to take the backseat, but I decided that now I need to hear the inner voice which says, go and set the thing straight right, because unless some of us take the lead on, it will never set itself right. So that was the second reason I decided. And the third reason was I was talking to my wife on a Sunday while I was reading the Parsee Times, and I was getting slightly uppity about the fact that what's happening at BPP and things like that. So my wife said, either you go and do something or you stop commenting on it. One of the two is very necessary. And that's when I was kind of thinking that I need to really put in my hat and do something rather than just be a backseat commentator. So these are some of the reasons why I stood up for election. Also what happened was, Mrs. Setna, I've heard this story in the Parsee circles very often, that generally only riff-raff seems to be standing up for elections. So this time I'm going to offer myself. Certainly I believe I am not in that category of riff-raff standing up for elections. I believe I am a reasonably sound candidate. Now let us see whether the community desires a proper change of a respectable candidate or not. And that's the reason why I stood up for change.
Now, having known what prompted you to stand up for elections, my next question would be, what are your dream plans and what would you like to do at BPP if you were elected?
So Roshan, of course, I am making a presumption that if I get elected, what is my dream plan? And you know that there are 2 months remaining to the elections and a huge journey remaining. Delhi ab bahut dur hai, but if we cross that and if I get elected, what are the things that I have in mind that I would like to work on? So number one is that we are sitting on a huge baggage of legacy issues which have been unresolved. We therefore need to find an amiable way in which we study the issues which are there at hand, we get into the depth of it, and we amicably, without ego, try and resolve these issues, which is the first agenda I have on hand. How do we bring these warring ideas and how do we put absolutely conflict management on the table and resolve it in a very adult and a wise way? That is to be handled, and that includes all the issues like housing and all. We need to resolve it, sit together and discuss it out. The second most important thing I think we have never done is to listening to the voice of our community. We need to understand at different pocket levels what is it that people really want us to do. So we do not have a mindless kind of a budget that we can fulfill all the needs. But once we hear to the voice of the community and try and understand what is it that people are really looking forward to, then we can prioritize on the basis of the kind of monies available to us, which can be fulfilled and which cannot be. So you need to first understand from colonies and the different locations where Parsees are living, what is the voice of the community? The third is, my programs really, if you ask me, is always future forward and developmental. I work on a developmental plan, because I believe that the future of our community lies not in solving only the past problems, but in developing the future of our community, which is the bright youngsters we have got. We need to find out what we can do to develop them so that they can take our community in the future world ahead and maintain the glory that we have had. If we are going the way we are going, and I go to management colleges and I lecture there, I find that most of the Parsee students, boys or girls, are not there in these management schools. I understand someone was sharing some statistics with me last week in Delhi that the last IAS officer that really passed out was around 8 to 10 years ago, and for that balance of period, not a single Parsee has passed out to do his IAS exams. So these are the kind of future planks we need to come together, think and put forward, so that, and I believe that our Parsee boys and girls are really cutting edge. If you were to systematically put programs in place to identify them, to identify their talent and do things around rightly for them, we need to build the future capability of our community through these young boys and girls, and serious programs need to be developed for that. Again, as we do for the young people, what is important is that we have a large segment of our old people who are either not cared for or who are feeling lonely, who are single and left out. We need to invest serious amount of time and money to see how we can handle them, to ameliorate the kind of problems that these senior people in our community are being positively handled by. Can we not provide some insurance programs for them? Can we not do something to ensure that there is a buddy system that helps out if people are alone at home? So those are the kind of programs that should come in there. The next important item on my agenda is how do we create professional management and a clean, transparent and accountable governance system in our Parsee Panchayat. The brand Parsee Panchayat has lost its trust because we do not have a clean, transparent, accountable governance arrangement. So we need to bring them together, and whatever needs to be done, I would like to work on that. Protecting the interests of our institutions, of our practices and our properties is another item that is on my agenda and I would like to work on. And the last item that I would seriously work on is service orientation. There is no service orientation. Even if you have to tell no to someone, there is a graceful smile with which you could say that no. And therefore, over the period of time, I would love to work along with the staff to see how are we able to handle our people when they come to our office with grace, with empathy and with care. And that is one of the things. So these are the overall kind of agenda items on my list of wishful things that I would love to do if I were to be elected.
Thank you very much, Dr. Adil Malia, for investing your valuable time to answer our questions. We wish you good luck.